It's been well over a week since Hurricane Ian showed the world its might and destructive intentions.
Yet this storm just continues to wreak havoc here with these gusts. Look at this.
A hurricane, derived from a word coined by the indigenous people of the Caribbean. In Spanish and Portuguese travel accounts in the mid-16th century, these storms were called furacán, furacano, and huracana. By the late 17th century, the violent phenomenon became known simply as a hurricane.
Words can't describe the amount of devastation and human tragedy as well as potential economic impacts to this small beachside community.
So many people have given us a lot to help us survive. Our people in our community, just beach residents, taking care of beach residents. And I think it's that support and that, that kind of thing that's keeping us going and keeping us alive.
Since before records were taken, people have been experiencing those emotions in the aftermath. For me, a correspondent at Fox Weather and one of nearly 8 billion souls walking this planet, my role is to capture the effects and try and help people understand just how dangerous a hurricane is, especially Ian, who selfishly twisted in, stole livelihoods and the physical existence of human beings.
Very difficult to listen to people talk about their friends and loved ones being killed by Hurricane Ian, as so many are still missing.
Sometimes when we think about disasters, we might think about certain populations being hit, but disasters don't discriminate. It's hit everybody alike.
The aftermath of any hurricane is about humanity. People, living and breathing, survivors, heroes, leaders, young and old, even the bad ones, like looters, those thieves who purge while others are mourning. People are the story, the pulse of how we process and interpret the shock, which eventually leads to the twisted reality of what has just happened. Those suffering souls, the ones whose lives were taken by the monster, are always at the forefront, amid the piles, the odors of chemicals, rotting food, decomposing debris, and sea life. And if the wind blows a certain way, unfortunately, that overwhelming scent of a fellow human whose physical form has fought for existence during Ian, but has now become a casualty of the persistent violence of this historic hurricane.
Tears. I've been on the job 30 years. Tears. Tears was my first reaction if I had to give you a word. Tears streamed down my face for what this storm meant to my community.
Where to begin now? Seriously, where? How? Who can help? Where can one get money? Food, water, clothes, a bed, a roof, transportation, communications. Do individuals and families have the ability to think clearly in the aftermath as the emotions and trauma are taking over? Can governments and insurance simplify all of this? Can people feel the love from others to push them forward to cope with this situation, overwhelming scenarios? And then, when the internal voice of one's mind asks all these questions, asking yourself, can you do this, knowing that the complexities physically and mentally may be unattainable? Can you? Can I? Can we?
I don't know.
Michael is honest. That is admirable. But one thing is certain here, everyone will give a go at this recovery, and it's happening right now. The sleeves are pushed up, boots on, mud on the face, ready for battle no matter how long it takes. Perseverance in the face of misery is the only path to a new day, a rebirth of these decimated islands. Reporting on the ground across Southwest Florida, Robert Ray, Fox Weather.
And let's head to Florida, where we continue to monitor the rivers there. We had immense rainfall because of Hurricane Ian. Fort Myers Beach now reopened to residents nearly 2 weeks after Ian made landfall. This new video coming from the Lee County Sheriff's Office shows the damage from the storm, including boats just thrown into the mangroves like toys. I mean, it just shows you the power of the storm surge, as well as just the immense power of the winds that were over 100 miles per hour.
This homeowner, her name is Heidi. Her parents, both of them 90 years old, were in this home as the water started to rush in the storm surge. She rescued her two 90-year-old parents from the rising floodwater to her home next door. We're going to pan over. This is Heidi actually standing right here. You can see how her house is just a little bit higher than this one. That made all the difference in trying to escape some of the floodwater. I spoke to her just a moment ago and asked her, what's it like to have everything you own out on the curb like this after this experience? Here's a little of what she had to say.
I've thrown out pictures of family members from the 1800s. It's quite heartbreaking. But we're alive. Getting them through the floodwater, though, to my home was probably the worst thing I've ever dealt with, more so than the flood itself. Just the scary moments of trying to get them to safety.
Power is back, water is back, and that's a little bit of a help. But in many cases, if you have a house that is in this situation, you can't stay in it. You can't live in it. So even though they do have power and water back, it doesn't do much good other than to help them see the damage that they're facing.
We have some brand new video that we want to show you. This was taken yesterday, but it's drone video of the Sanibel Causeway. Remember, extensive damage there because of hurricane force winds driving that storm surge and basically destroying the only access point to the island. So we're showing you that vantage point of how much construction is underway as they're trying to build that bridge. They almost have to build a temporary bridge for all the construction and materials before they can start building on the actual bridge. We're going to use this as a reference video to show you this is Doral, Florida. And so you notice just one thunderstorm can trigger this flash flooding here. And you'll notice those cars are still driving through the water. We always advise you to try to avoid those, never drive through, try to find an alternate route. And you may be able to get through, like you'll see these vehicles that are driving through, but think about where those wakes are going and the waves. Oftentimes that goes to nearby communities and it inundates some, their yards and their homes. So it's not just about making sure that you are safe, but also your community and your neighbors.
Take a look at this video coming into our Fox Weather newsroom of a fire in a field in Bowling Green that created a twister-like structure in the middle of the field. Things like this are certainly eye-catching because you don't usually see things like this. They're very rare, sometimes called a fire-nado. Seeing these type of twisters in place is certainly something that's like, whoa.
Take a look at this video out of Fairbanks, Alaska. The wait for the first snowflake is finally over. Freezing temperatures led to some giant snowflakes yesterday as the city experienced their first snow day of the season. Now, the area also saw plenty of rain, but it quickly turned into snow, which made it a chilly yet beautiful day across Fairbanks, Alaska.
We grow about 16, 17 different varieties out there. They're all 79 cents a pound.
Tractors filled with people eager to pick out the perfect pumpkin, doing so bundled up. But that doesn't bother them.
We've never seen a pumpkin patch this big. It's really big.
Their excitement warming their search.
We just love doing fall activities like apple picking, pumpkin picking, and it's perfect weather.
Some starting the tradition early.
Since this is their first time, I think they're looking more for something that they can carve. However, I think I'm looking for more decorative pumpkins for their front porch.
There's a lot to pick, but you better move fast because as the cold moves in, when you go out and get your pumpkins, a green one, for instance, will help you have that orange color last longer, maybe until Halloween even.
The recent mild weather taking a sharp turn to the frosty overnight, the first of the season.
There's Mother Nature doing her job of putting plants to sleep for the winter.
The pumpkins are tough, but the foliage around them and produce like tomatoes and apples might need some help.
You can protect those just by putting a blanket over them and a little light cover
And you don't want to leave it on there all day tomorrow. You want to pull it off so that it doesn't smother the plant. They want sunshine.
Harvesting fall favorites.
This might be a winner.
And family memories, one pumpkin at a time. Reporting in Belleville, Stephanie Rothman, Fox 2 News.
Well, this past weekend was definitely a beautiful weekend to get to a pumpkin patch, but grab the pumpkin spice latte, put your beanie on and a warm coat, take a stroll along Buskey Bay in Iron River, Wisconsin. You can see all the beautiful trees starting to change their colors. But that, along with a drop in temperatures, definitely gives us the fall feel. In Whitingham, Vermont, the red, orange, green foliage brightening up the city. Vermont is one of the most beautiful places to see the change in colors. I mean, just look how stunning that is. You have the lakes, the reflection. If you're looking for a photo op, this is going to be the place to be in the fall if you want to do some leaf peeping. It's typically on the northern tier of New England, New Hampshire, Vermont that we start to see that change this time of year. In fact, we take a look at our fall foliage colors, where we stack up as we go into the beginning of October. Well, upstate New York into Vermont and New Hampshire, we're at near peak or peak of the season already, because remember, that colder air starts to come in a little earlier than the rest of us. And so we're starting to see that change along the northern tier. We will slowly start to see that spread. Had so much drought in the Northeast that our trees are already so stressed. And so we're going to start to see that changeover maybe a little earlier this season, but it could also mean that it doesn't last as long. So get out there, do that leaf peeping and fall activity as quickly as you can.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.